Hello everyone, back tuning into today's video. It's JMA Friday today, so we're having a look at where next month with the Japanese and CFS B2 models. It's going to take us to the end of March, so we'll be covering the full March period with this update. Starting off, having a look at the very wet weather that's currently pushing north across England and Wales. But before I get on with that, just to say about the ads at Gasworth, it says links to articles on all the pages. If you have a browse widgets and click through the links, you can help us page website. Thanks very much for doing that. There's also video ads to both pages, which don't have content. We watch them, you can close them back up again, and it does help to pay for Gasworthies. So just starting off with the radar picture from the weatheroutlook.com. You find a link to Weather Outlook on the links page. We've got a massive rain stretched out from Ireland across the Irish Sea into Wales or North Wales and much of the Midlands and East Anglia. It is starting to clear from the south, though there's some heavy showers following on behind. I'm not sure the rain is going to progress much further north. We're going a little bit further north through this afternoon, but I think really northern England is in for a proper soaking this afternoon. That rain on throughout the afternoon and probably into much of the night as well. Just have a quick look at the dew point, and you can see that it's still pretty cold across Scotland. So as this rain gets up to the far north of northern England, in towards Scotland, be more tonight and into tomorrow morning, there may be a little bit of snow on the leading edge. There could also be a bit of snow over top of the Pennines and the Welsh mountains with this rain further south. It's far too mild to be considering about wintry weather, but a proper soaking today across many parts of the country. Take it easy if you're off out and about on the roads this afternoon. Right, let's get on with JMA Friday. We're going to have a look at the Japanese model first of all, then we'll have a look at CFS B2, starting off with the 500 millibar height anomalies broken down into weekly periods from the North Pole down. This is the Northern Hemisphere view. This is the North Pole just here, and this, just there, is the British Isles. So 500 millibars, 80,000 feet is an area in the atmosphere, high pressure, low pressure being moved around by the jet stream. Blue on these charts extrapolating to below average heights, which is high pressure, and yellow, orange and bright colours extrapolate to above average heights, which is high pressure. This first week period takes us from today, the 3rd, through to the 10th of March. If I've got below average heights through the UK and extending into the Atlantic, we have got some northern blocking up here, and we've also got a ridge down across southern parts of Europe, so it's quite a complicated picture, but the upshot is that it's pretty unsettled really. We'll be bringing in areas of low pressure from off the Atlantic, courtesy of this main trough that's centred in the central part of the Atlantic Ocean. So it would be unsettled, and there'd be spells of rain coming through in the next week. We go through to week 2, which takes us from the 10th through to the 17th of March. You see quite a significant change with above average heights building just to the west of the country, below average heights going well to the north. That's settling things down. The above average heights is extending a little bit to the northwest, but I think overall probably still keeping a bit of an Atlantic influence, so I don't think it's going overly cold with that at all. In fact, it would be very pleasant, I would have thought, with the above average heights providing a lot of dry weather. And in the mid-March sunshine, I would imagine it will feel fairly pleasant. So we have had this idea, and it's still there this morning in the model output, by the way. We have had this idea recently that we could get quite a cold snap through the middle part of March. The JMA, have a look at temperature and precipitation obviously in a moment, but I don't think the JMA is going for that colder weather mid-month at all. And then we go through to weeks 3 and 4, which takes us from the 17th through to the 31st of March, and looks like we're going more unsettled again. Below average heights coming back to the north and west with an Atlantic influence, with jet stream coming in off the Atlantic. We've got the Azores high down there and high pressure up towards the northeast of Scandinavia. That's just solidly unsettled. There'll be outbreaks of rain coming in off the Atlantic. So other than that mid-month period, which does look more anticyclonic, overall looks like we're in for a pretty unsettled March if the JMA is right. Let's have a look at the mid-latitude view in terms of temperature and precipitation. This is the British Isles just here in the top right-hand corner of the chart as you're looking at it. This is the equator, of course, going along there. Underneath the equator, to the south of it, we've got the southern hemisphere. Above the equator, to the north of it, we've got the northern hemisphere. South Pole is off the chart, that's down there, and North Pole, which we're just looking at, the pole down, of course, on the first lot of charts. That's up here again off the chart. And I say the British Isles is just there in the top right hand corner. Right, now when everybody knows where everyone is, we're going to have a look at the first weekly anomaly, which is actually this one. So this is taking us from the 3rd through to the 10th of March. We find it's an unsettled week coming up. Low pressure is in the Atlantic with the jet stream coming through like that. You expect this to be quite unsettled period with above average rainfall. That's what the model is predicting. Precipitation is coming out above average, but it is a mild week coming up with temperature anomalies significantly warmer than average. Warm and wet then for the week ahead. We go through to week 2 and it takes us from the 10th through to 17th. We find that we've got this above average area of above average heights around and just to the west of the UK. You would think this would be drier. For England and Wales, it is drier. For Scotland and Northern Ireland, still being played by the jet stream a bit actually, so a little bit wetter there. For England and Wales, it is a drier signal there though through the middle part of the month. Temperature anomalies are still holding up, so as I say, the JMA is not going for a cold snap in the middle part of the month, and I'm a bit unsure about this actually because going through the shorter range charts this morning, there's just appeared to be quite a lot of support for colder weather through the middle part of March. So I'm not sure the JMA has that right, but we'll see what the CFS has to say in a moment. And then finally we go through to weeks 3 and 4, which is the 17th through to the 31st of March, last day, and low pressure is coming back with the jet stream as well. So it means that the precipitation is going back up again, all places turning significantly wetter than average in those in that week 3 and 4 period. And the temperature anomaly, I should say, is near normal. It's a little bit above average, but not as much of a deviation as we see in the first half of the month. So a little bit cooler in the second half of the month compared to average, but more unsettled. Overall, nothing cold, though, showing up on the JMA today. Let's have a look at CFS V2, and again these are 500 of our height anomalies broken down into week periods. The first week period takes us from the 3rd through to the 9th of March. Looks unsettled. Low pressure is in the Atlantic. We've got the ridge down to the south and a bit of a blocking feature up to the north, so a very excellent agreement between the JMA and the CFS for the coming week. That's bringing the jet stream in. So it's unsettled. There'll be quite a lot of rain, but not overly cold. We go through to week 2, which takes us from the 10th through the 16th, and we find, very similar to what the JMA is doing, the ridge is to the west-southwest, also trying to extend up towards Greenland. So we are trying to set up a blocking feature here. I don't think it's overly cold, however, because we're probably still bringing in quite an influence of air from the Atlantic. It's possibly a little bit cooler, but again, I don't think these long-range models are really seeing this cold spell up to the middle part of the month. However, this one does look a bit colder. This is week 3. This takes us from the 17th through to the 23rd of March, and you see now the above-average heights is centering over Greenland. So instead of having that elongation through the Atlantic that we see with week 2, it's just an area of above average heights, high pressure centred over Greenland. And there's a trough in over Scandinavia. So the upshot with that is that we would be pulling down the wind from the north, I think, there. So that does look colder. 17th through the 23rd of March. It's a little bit delayed on what the shorter range GFS and ECMWF models are hinting at, but eventually the CFS is getting there with a colder, what looks like a colder spell. Anyway, I suspect the temperature anomaly will still show warmer than average, but the height anomaly still hints at a colder spell in the second half of the month. And then finally, we go through to week 4, which is the 24th through to the 30th of March. Looks rather odd, this one. We've got a ridge to our west and to our north, but also extending to the east, and presumably there's some sort of trough going down here. Not sure quite what's going on with that, but if it came off like that, it would probably be fairly unsettled and chilly, especially so for the south. We could be pulling in the wind from the east with that scenario. As I say, it does look rather odd, however. Right, let's just have a look at temperature anomalies. The coming week is coming out milder than average, so this is actually, that one looks a bit wrong. So let's try that again. So we've got week 3. So I'm going to have to hit the pause button and get the right chart up. So I'm just going to hit pause now and get the right chart up for you, which you'll see in a second. And we're back and we've got the right chart up, sorry about that. So this is week 1, which takes us from the 3rd through to the 9th of March. And we find that we've got temperature anomalies for the coming week coming out significantly milder than average. That's quite a warm week coming up. Week 2, which takes us from the 10th through to the 16th of March, also coming out significantly milder than average. We go through to week 3, which looked like it should be a colder week, 17th through 23rd of March. That also comes out milder than average. And then week 4 rounds it all off. This is taking us from the 24th to the 30th of March. And that one is also coming out, you've guessed it, milder than average. If you have a look at precipitation for week 1, it's significantly wetter than average from the 3rd through to the 9th of March coming week. Then week 2 goes drier, so we start to build up the heights, so we break out of that very unsettled start to March the 10th to the 16th, looks drier than average. Week 3, which is the 17th through to the 23rd of March, comes out with average precipitation. And then week 4, I think we're losing the signal now, but week 4 is also coming out with average precipitation from the 24th through to the 30th of March. So it looks like we're going to have a very unsettled start to March. We knew that anyway. The next week to 10 days, you're going to have quite a lot of rain coming through. And then this middle part of the month, there's a lot of uncertainty about that because these longer range models, the CFS and the JMA, are not going for this chance of cold weather really through the middle part of March. The CFS does eventually get there later on, about the 3rd week of March, just to hint that it's turning things a bit colder, but no real sign of it on the temperature anomaly. But then these long-range models very often overcook the temperatures anyway. So I think the pattern that the model is going for, that 3rd week of March, probably does hint at a colder spell. But the shorter range models, the GFS and the ECWF, are much more progressive about trying to get into colder weather as early as around a week's time, somewhere around the 10th to 12th of March. They want to start getting the wind into the north. So there's a lot of uncertainty about the middle part of March. I'm not sure these long-range models really have it right, and I do think we're probably going to get some sort of cold snap around the middle part of the month. That's my hunch about what will happen, but I doubt it will lock into a prolonged cold spell. I'm really uncertain about that, but maybe a cold snap for the middle of March, even though the JMA and CFS don't really see it. Right, that's all for now. It's Weekend Forecast tomorrow, so come back for that, but that's all for now, and thanks for watching.